Yes.
History of Equatorial Guinea. They are small, wealthy producers of oil and the only Spanish-speaking country in Africa. Today, in this video, we will tour the island of Equatorial Guinea, the least populated country in Africa, with a history of prolonged colonial rule by the Portuguese, British, and Spanish colonial masters. How were they able to rise above the years of subjugation? What is their story, and how did it end? Equatorial Guinea and the Portuguese rule. Equatorial Guinea is located on the coast of West Africa. The country comprises the continental Equatorial Guinea called Rio Muni and 5 islands known collectively as insular Equatorial Guinea. The islands include Corisco, Great Elobey, Bioko, Little Elobey, and Annobon. When Equatorial Guinea was under the colony of Spain, it was referred to as Spanish Guinea. On October 12, 1968, Equatorial Guinea became independent, and Malabo is the country's capital. But before this time, it was a journey of roller coaster characterized by dominance and slavery. In 1472, a Portuguese explorer named Fernando do Po sighted the Fernando Po Island, which he named Formosa, which translates to mean beautiful. The island soon assumed the name of its discoverer, Fernando Po. Presently, the island is called Bioko. It was also believed that the island Annobon was sighted by Rui de Sequeira, a Portuguese navigator, explorer, and cartographer. The Portuguese colonized the islands of Fernando Po and Annobon. In 1494, an agreement was made between the kingdoms of Spain and Portugal that defined where each could explore and claim lands. This agreement was called the Treaty of Tordesillas, giving the Portuguese the exclusive rights to trade in Africa. Thus began the Portuguese rule over Equatorial Guinea until 1778, when the Treaty of El Pardo was signed. After that, the Portuguese handed over the Fernando Po and Annobon Islands to Spain. 3 years later, the Spanish withdrew from the island after they suffered from yellow fever disease that began to kill them. What transpired after will be discussed shortly. The British rule. When the British decided to abolish the slave trade, an anti-slavery base was established in Port Clarence, a harbor on the north coast, and San Carlos Bay on the west coast. The Port Clarence was renamed Santa Isabel and is now called Malabo. The Spanish neglected the region, and in their absence, the British took over the administration of the island. Many enslaved people were resettled, and people from other countries like Jamaica and Sierra Leone also came to the island to seek refuge. Due to the absence of the Spanish administration in Malabo, the British made unsuccessful attempts to purchase Fernando Po Island, a move Spain resisted. In 1843, an agreement was reached between the British and Spain, and the anti-slavery patrol base was relocated to Sierra Leone. The building at Fernando Po was later sold to a British Baptist. Obsessed with power, in 1844, the Spanish made a second attempt to take over the Fernando Po, and in 1877, they expelled the British Baptists and took control of it. What followed marked the beginning of another era in the history of Equatorial Guinea, the Spanish Guinea era and independence. After the war between the Spanish and America, Spanish Guinea remained under the colony of Spain. Fernando Po and Rio Muni were amalgamated as Spanish Guinea colonies between 1926 and 1959. Their main economic activity was large plantations of coffee and cacao. Due to the increasing number of plantation farms, there was a shortage of labor, which led to the smuggling of workers from Nigeria and other regions. This continued, and when the labor treaty was signed, more workers arrived in Spanish Guinea, and by the end of this era, Fernando Po became the most productive agricultural area. Following this, there was a change in the status and reorganization of Spanish Guinea, which saw the African citizens enjoying the same rights as the citizens of Spain. Determined to end their domination, the clamor for independence began to gather momentum, and in 1968, the Spanish government suspended political control, and a new constitution was formed. On October 12, 1968, Equatorial Guinea was declared independent, and Francisco Macias Nguema became the first black president. In retrospect, it is essential to clarify that Macias wasn't the ideal president the people needed. His tenure was characterized by severe human abuse, mismanagement, and dictatorship, which led to thousands of people fleeing the country for safety concerns. When he was overthrown in 1979, the people had a breath of fresh air. Did you enjoy the history of the Equatorial Guinea? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.